Hello, guys. My name is Reikai, and welcome back to more nonsense about Concord. The title alone, I haven't watched the video yet, but the title alone's already got me like, oh. So these weirdos are already patting their egos even before the game was released. Oh boy. Alright, well, let's get into it. Let's see what Hirohei has uncovered. Imagine bragging about finessing your employer out of $400 million.
Including the actual cost of the game, which is apparently about $400 million. Prior rough estimates were between 50 million to 150 million USD. So if this figures out,
Which is a good estimate looking at the game itself. You could take one look at it, and even $50 million is kind of like, really? It cost you that much to make that bad of a game? But like $400 million, whose pockets are these filling, man? Like, there's no shot $400 million went into producing Concord. No shot. You cannot tell me that all that money was actually used in actually producing that hot garbage.
accurate, then it's significantly worse. This also seems to make Concord Sony's largest failure ever. Amplifying that loss is that Concord apparently had the largest budget out of any Sony game that they've ever made to date, and that Sony even thought this could be their version of Star Wars.
Damn. So maybe the $400 million wasn't just for the game development. They invested most of that money into making it their pet project. How much do you think went into marketing the virtue signaling? I'm going to say about 350 million.
Hoping to profit off Concord long into the future. That's just a quick summary of some of the new information presented by Colin Moriarty. In a clip he posted that's just over 8 minutes long. He'll go over some of this stuff in more detail, and we'll also further talk about this, and then I have another source that I also want to show you too. Now that takes us to this tweet where Colin Moriarty says,
Alright. I was eating my dinner when I was watching this. I'm just gonna... Man, just even hearing about Concord has kind of turned my appetite off. I spoke extensively with someone who worked on Concord, and it's so much worse than you think. How could it get worse? It was already really bad. It was literally referred to as the future of PlayStation, the Star Wars-like potential and dev culture, toxic positivity. I don't even think we can call it toxic positivity. It's just blatant delusion at this point. This was your hit? This is what you were putting all your money into? Bro, the entire world took one look at your future of PlayStation and literally just said, nah, and walked the fuck away. Your virtue signaling has reached a point where people just walk away and don't even talk about it anymore. $400 million! For what? An example of what not to do?
spoke extensively with someone who worked on Concord, and it's so much worse than you think.
Bro, just give me the money next time.
The future of PlayStation, with Star Wars-like potential and a dev culture of toxic positivity, halted any.
If you're going to try to make something as legendary as Star Wars, you're gonna have to do a little bit better than gay... Oh god, my brain just shut off. Galaxy... what's that fucking movie? You're gonna have to do a little bit better than Queer Ventures. Alright? We've been saying it for years. The audience that you guys are trying to appeal to One, doesn't give a flying fuck. Two, isn't gonna buy your game. And three, they don't give a fuck. All this weird virtue signaling you guys have been doing, all the stereotyping, all the bragging, all the ego padding you guys have been doing, everybody is laughing. And we're finally seeing repercussions for your actions. $400 million down the fucking drain. For what? An opportunity for you to push whatever bullshit you got bullied for in high school? Get fucked.
Negative feedback, making it cost $400 million. And now before I start playing what I view as some of the highlight areas of the clip, I've actually got a little more of a summary to go over, that being about the first 4 minutes of the clip, since I can just recap this pretty dang quick. But like I also mentioned, some of this we will break down in further detail. So the clip begins with him talking about this anonymous source of his, where he essentially says that someone who worked on Concord approached him, and he spent a great amount of time checking and confirming that that person is who they say they are. After that, he goes on to talk about the financial situation and that $400 million figure as mentioned. It sounds like by...
Yep. And it's been brought up in previous conversations. Most of the people that are developing these games are not the loud minority of weirdos who are pushing this nonsense. Most guys just go to work, do their job, and are afraid to say anything, because if they do, then these fucking psychopaths are going to go to HR and get them fired. And they will not only will they get them fired, they're going to turn their life upside down by coming up with some bullshit. You disagreed with my worldviews. Well, now I'm going to fucking destroy your life. It's so fucked, dude. And, like, why do we keep letting them get away with it? Why is it okay to allow these literal Nazis to dictate how shit's supposed to go? No, fuck this, fuck that. No, people are gonna... We're speaking up now for the people that can't, because if they do, what you're gonna do is you're probably gonna go to HR and say they raped you, because that's exactly what these fucking psychos will do.
By 2023, around $200 million was already...
You have no argument to stand on, so what you do is you create lies and you fabricate bullshit in order to dictate what's going to happen.
spent on Concord. And that was before Sony purchased Firewalk Studios. After Sony acquired Firewalk, they spent another $200 million on the game. All of that simply to get the game to minimum viability. It sounds like before Sony got involved, Firewalk was already a giant mess, doing who the heck knows what with the $200 million that they already had, because the game was apparently in a pathetic state.
Well, what they're doing is they're filling their pockets while they virtue signal and try to push an agenda instead of actually developing the game. That's why these games are costing $400+ millions. It's because they're not actually putting any money into developing the game. It's about creating a narrative and sending a message. Wow. Shocker. No one wants to give you money for that.
Although, of course, we already know how the end product also ended up being, but yeah. Okay, now with the first 4 minutes or so summarized, I'll let parts of the clip speak for itself.
The game cost about $400 million to make, soup to nuts. Sony put most of that money in, and it is not only so, because we had kind of said, like, this must be Sony's biggest loss ever on a game, and it is.
Yeah.
It's the biggest game Sony's ever.
This is the biggest L in history. Like, and it's astronomical just how big of an L this really is.
Released from a budgetary standpoint from the first party or second party. So let that sink in.
It's crazy.
And it's totally unintuitive.
Oh, it's already sunk in.
There are games that are in development right now at Sony first and second party that are more expensive than this. But
and you know what? They're probably going to take a very good look at the other games that are developing, and they're probably going to change the narrative that they've been trying to push. $400 million to push your virtue signals. Well, maybe we go back and we redraw up our business model here, and I guarantee you, you're going to see one of two things. They're either going to push harder, Or they're gonna retract on all the virtues that they've been signaling, and they're just gonna try to produce something that's gonna sell. Oh, and three options. They're gonna milk the consumer for additional money in order to dampen the cost. So what they'll do is they'll increase the price of your games probably to $150 instead of $130. Sorry, Canadian money. I know our money isn't real dollars, but it's $130 for a game for us here in Canada. So what they're going to do is they're going to increase that. They're going to make more intrusive battle passes, and they're going to increase the cost of the battle passes. They're going to make more microtransactions. They're going to get their money back somehow. Unless you guys just don't buy into it, which is also an option. You know, it's not your responsibility to pay Sony's salary.
As of the games that have come out so far, so think about like Spider-Man 2 and so on and so forth. We know The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million. Spider-Man 3 is going to cost about $350 million. This game costs more than that. And they lost all of it.
Well, and you know why the Spider-Man games do well? They don't fuck around too much with it. They put Spider-Man and they put him into a game. The developers who work on Spider-Man do their fucking jobs. They take an already existing IP and they do things to either recreate or improve upon it. And literally make it generate code on my screen. That's your job. That is all you're supposed to do. As a game developer, develop fucking games. Like, it's weird that we're even having a conversation about this. Like, why, at what point did it become your responsibility to tell people how to live their lives? Just do your fucking job. It's not your job to tell people what to do. You're a fucking game developer. Like, who the fuck are you? And who the fuck do you think you are?
All of it. Because they made no money. They made about $1 million gross revenue. And then they gave it all back. So this is a huge, multiple hundreds of millions of dollar loss.
So now skipping ahead, here's where he talks about that whole like Star Wars thing. Like Sony really thought this would be their Star Wars. They really thought they were going to make so much money for years and years off Concord.
The delusion.
The situation was
like, it's insane.
They thought they spent like 50 to 100.
I think what they need to do is they need to tick the people that sit around the boardroom who greenlight this shit and fire them all. Just cut the fat out of the company and hire some people that aren't fucking stupid. What do you mean this was going to be your Star Wars? Anybody with a monocle of common sense could have looked at this, and they did, and they walked away because it was so fucking bad. They would say, no shot, this is going to be your Star Wars. It was so astronomically bad that nobody even gave a fuck about it. People didn't even care enough to play it, period. Like, if you ever walked into a room and you see some deranged, insane bullshit, and all you do is your brain just shuts off and you turn around and you walk away. That is literally what the entire world did with Concord. Your next Star Wars? Give me a fucking break.
$50 million on this game, and it's just like astronomically worse than that.
The idea behind this was, and the term apparently verbatim had been used, that Concord is the future of PlayStation. That they had such
the future of your retirement
major ambition for this game that it was referred to internally as a Star Wars like project.
That's a cute word to use.
That it can be repeatedly revisited over and over and over again, not only in cross media, but in what we were seeing. We've already kind of seen little bits of it. So the weekly story vignettes that they were going to release, and then of course the inclusion in Amazon's Secret Levels anthology, that's like just scratching the surface of it. Ironically, the game was codenamed Chaos behind the scenes. And
if you called it that other than Concord, you might have at least had 200 players.
A major thing about the game is that there was, and I think we can kind of get this vibe from just the nature of the people making it and kind of the way the game reads and all that, a toxic positivity vibe. Yeah. You weren't allowed to say any.
That's a weird way of saying virtue signaling shit talking retards. But hey,
Apparently
toxic
internally
positivity is a little bit easier to say.
about this game.
Okay, let's pause again because that's absolutely hilarious. First of all, that in of itself is hilarious, but the way he phrased that too, like, I think we could kind of tell because of the sort of people that worked on the game. And it's like, yeah, no kidding. For example, look how some of them acted as soon as people started criticizing the game. We had that one Concord dev calling...
I'm going to say something that might be a little bit strange to people. So, you know how when you eat food, it really depends on the person preparing the food? It's because when you're creating something, there's there's an energy that goes into it. So when you have a shitty fucking attitude when you're making something, that shitty fucking attitude is going to go into what you're making. One person with a good attitude and one person with a shitty attitude could literally make the same recipe, but the person with the good attitude it's going to just taste better. And they're probably going to be more likable because nobody wants to deal with toxic positivity people. Like, this is... No. Get your poison out of my entertainment. Get your bullshit out of the fucking studio and go do something with your life. Oh, right, guy, all you do is make videos. Get a life. Yeah, well, I'm still doing something more productive with my time than they are, and that's fucking sad.
Anyone who criticized the game, quote-unquote, talentless freaks. Dude was like freaking...
Oh, look. Anime profile picture. Let's see what the shit-talking retard had to say. I don't really care. It was a huge labor from a lot of insanely talented people making an awesome game. Well, if you were insanely talented, why did you have 61 people that gave a fuck? You don't really care? Yeah. That's fucking very visibly clear. And that's why you're losing your job. It's because you don't care. All you care about is virtue signaling, not doing your fucking job. Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it? Well, those talentless freaks are the ones who are going to pay you for your game and pay your salary to keep you in the position that you are. Talent... I guarantee you, I could fucking weld with my feet and do a better job at what you do. Like, talentless. What talent do you have? Being a little bitch? Man, I could do that too. It doesn't take a lot of talent to be a little bitch. I'm sure having fun playing it. Yeah, of course you are, because you made it. I also eat the things that I produce. Doesn't make them good.
Out on their Twitter account, insulting people, and then going in to protect it, and even removing Concord from their own bio. Then there was that...
See, again, like, they don't even believe in the bullshit that they're saying. It's all about virtue signaling. And as soon as they get a little bit of pushback on it, they go private, they remove it from their bio, they completely remove it from their personality, because at the end of the day, they know it was fucking stupid to begin with.
Senior
and the they, them in their profile. Like, you already know you're dealing with an insufferable retard.
Concept artist Amanda, who saw another artist criticizing the designs of Concord. And then Amanda was saying in this post, the character concept art team, including myself...
I was going to DM you after this, but this site makes me pay to do that. No, what? I didn't realize messaging on Twitter cost you money. Like, what a blatant fucking lie. So even without even finishing the first sentence, I already know this Amanda person's an insufferable lying piece of shit. So at the risk of getting dogpiled, well, yeah, if you didn't want to get dogpiled, maybe stop being a piece of shit. I mean, it's pretty simple. I'm just going to say this here. A lot affected the art side of Concord, including design by committee, failure of some leadership to listen to the art team. The character concept art team, including myself. So you're saying that the problem is the people that are in charge, but you are one of the people in charge? Okay. Are going through an extremely difficult time emotionally. Oh, boo-hoo. You suck at your job. Oh, Muffin. I go to work, and if I don't do my job, I lose my job. I don't get to go to Twitter and be a little bitch about it if I fuck up on a weld. Nah, motherfucker, if I screw up at what I do, I lose my fucking job. Some on the team no longer want to work in games. Yeah, good. Leave. Open that position to someone who actually wants to do their job.
Is
Holy
going through an
fuck,
extremely
dude.
difficult time emotionally, and some on the team no longer want to work in games, design characters, or even do art anymore after this. Because of this, posts like yours, though understandable, are unfortunately ill-timed. None of us know which way the wind will blow at the studio. We're worried, sick, and terrified of the
Well, I know exactly which way the wind is blowing. On your ass as you walk out the door.
future. Not only that, but we have been shouldering the brunt of the emotional labor.
Oh,
No, this whole thing that I read before, I don't want to repeat the entire thing. The point is, yeah, this whole toxic positivity thing at their company really checks out. These people acted like they never got criticism before.
Man, you create something that is absolute shit, doesn't sell, and is proven to be shit, and yet you still go and try to fish for sympathy. You want empathy and sympathy? Try doing your job. It's really that simple. Your job is to produce code that in turn turns onto my screen and entertains me. You're not a fucking freedom fighter. You're a game developer. Fucking shut your mouth and do your fucking job.
And then as soon as they got any, they displayed immense levels of unprofessionalism. Returning to the clip, we left off here.
You weren't allowed to say anything. Apparently.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. You're not allowed to say my game is bad even though it's bad. Because I have the moral high ground. I'm better than everybody else. You're not allowed to criticize me. Man, shut the fuck up. Fuck you. Fuck your stupid moral high ground. Eat a dick.
Apparently internally about this.
We're done with constructive criticism at this point. Now we've gone from logic to just straight up fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck your moral high ground. And fuck your fucking bullshit. You don't want to listen to reason? Fuck reason.
This game. About how like something's wrong with it. Character designs are not right. And so on and so forth. They really, truly believe this was Herman Hulst's baby, apparently. And he internally was himself a massive champion of the game. So it's not that. So the reason I'm telling you all of this, it's some.
Damn, he was a champion protecting his hot, shitty project. Guys, I'm a champion too. I'm a champion of the game industry. Oh, give me a fucking break, dude. You're not a champion. You're not a fucking hero. I'm not a hero. None of us are heroes. We're all losing.
Interesting information, of course, but it's that I had said when people were like, Concord lost $200 million. Now, people were pulling that money out because that's basically how much like some of the first party games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, etc. kind of cost in that frame. And I was like, there's no way that it cost that much. I was saying like it cost 9 figures probably, like low.
Yeah, like no shot a game that looks like Concord, $400 million went into it. Like you can't honestly look people in the face and tell them that. There's no shot. Like this number has to I honestly have to think it's got to be fake. Like $400 million for what? For what? It's not innovative at all. It's just a fucking crappy copy of fucking Overwatch. And Overwatch still plays better. 400 oh boy. Please, somebody please come out and tell us this is a fucking lie. Like there's no shot. No fucking shot. $400 million went into Concord. No, I don't believe it for a minute.
$100 million, but there's no way it cost $200 million. No, it cost $400 million. So, and I am totally solid on this source, by the way. So that's why I'm willing to share it because again, I'm not really a journalist. So Yeah, the big things to take away: $400 million loss. The game was in horrible shape as of 18 months ago before release. Not even monetization.
Yeah, and another thing you got to look at: 8 years to even just get it to a playable state. Who are you hiring to develop your games where it takes 8 years to produce something that is barely playable? Like, you might want to have a nice long conversation with your hiring department on how you're finding talent for your studios.
No onboarding, most content not even there. The game was in such bad shape at that point that they spent the budget of it again in urgent out.
And again, most people weren't even talking about that. They look past that. Well, now that you're bragging about it, now it's all gonna come out. Now we're all gonna fucking make fun of you.
Outsourcing to get the game finished from all of these different angles over an 18-month period. Internally, the game was considered part of the future of PlayStation with heavy cross-media references and a system of toxic positivity surrounding it that didn't allow anyone to meaningfully change the course of the game.
So well done, Colin, on getting all that information. And I now present to you a Kotaku journal.
You know what game developers are nowadays, or at least the ones that are hired at Sony? They're like vegans that go into a steak shop and get mad when there's steak everywhere. Or sorry, that was a really dumb... I gotta reverse that. So it's like when you're a chef and you're trying to serve food to a vegan and you get mad at the vegan because they don't want to eat steak. It's like, are you fucking stupid? Your job is to produce something for somebody. You're selling a fucking product. At what point do you think that it's okay to tell the vegan they're stupid? If you believe that, then get the fuck out of the fucking food industry. It's not your job to tell people how to eat. Your job is to make food. Same way with game developers, it's not your fucking job to tell people how to live their life. Your job is to make entertainment.
I know, Kotaku, I know. But let's just see what he says here real quick. He says, I can corroborate.
And guess what happens to the chef that gets mad at the vegan for not eating a steak? He gets motherfucking fired. He's on his ass.
The part about toxic positivity. Some sources I've spoken with blamed ahead.
Okay, I can corroborate the part about toxic positivity. Some sources I've spoken with blamed a head in the sand mentality carried over. Yeah, a loud minority of weirdos. A sense the game would come together because the team was too good to fail. There it is. Right there. In plain sight, they were too good to fail. They had their head shoved so far up their ass that all they could see was their own shit.
The sand mentality carried over from the studio's Bungie roots. A sense the game would come together because the team was too good to fail. I'll have more next week. And also in Concord news, we had this. From GamesIndustry.biz, they say,
Concord director reportedly steps down. Good. Fuck you, dude. Like, $400 million lit up in the air because you couldn't do your job. Good.
A Concord director reportedly steps down. Firewalk fears layoffs. A quote from a former developer saying,
You fear layoffs. No, the layoffs are coming. You were too good to fail. Well, now reality walked through the door, and he's coming to give you a good taste of the consequences of your actions.
Ryan deeply believed in that project and bringing players together through the joy in it. Regardless of there being things that he could have done differently throughout development, he's a good human and full of heart. They add, sources also claim that Firewalk staff are uncertain of the...
You want to try to bring people together? Run for mayor. Like, you're a game developer. Who the flying fuck are you? Like, nobody cares. It's like going into a bar and telling people drinking is unhealthy. You're not wrong, but nobody gives a fuck about your opinion right now. You really want to change something? Put yourself into a position that can actually change something. Don't take the easy route and become a game developer and poison people's entertainment with propaganda because you're too much of a fucking pussy to actually do something with your virtues that you signal. You have no ground to stand on. You're nothing but a game developer. It's like if a welder was like, I think certain things should change in society. Well, that's nice. Go weld. Do your job. Nobody gives a fuck about your opinion.
Studio's future. Some reportedly believe that it could become a co-development studio on other Sony projects, while many have allegedly shared concerns of layoffs and a possible shutdown of the studio. In Concord's official statement regarding the shutdown of the game, they did technically imply that they might relaunch the game at some point in the future. Obviously, that already seemed highly unlikely, and it seems to only be getting even less probable. At least it's given all of us a lot of entertainment, and it's hopefully been a giant wake-up call for the greedy AAA.
Yeah, I've had more fun not playing Concord than you would actually playing the game. That's so fucking bad.
Industry. As for this segment, I'll leave it there. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Consider letting me know what you think about this stuff in the comments, and if you enjoyed my coverage, then also consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate ya, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Fuck. Oh shit. Hi, Mark.
So what's on your point?
Yeah, like people have gotten more out of Concord by quote unquote grave dancing on it than they would have actually out of playing the game. How in the fuck did 400 million? No, I don't believe that for a minute. There's no way. Oh, and if anybody's curious as to what this is, I was looking for shows to watch. It's not porn, okay? I swear. But anyways, my point is, it's like all this virtue signaling, 8 years of it. Oh boy. Well, I guess it wasn't worth it now, was it? Later.